in a negative way, and the whole program was screwed
You
up.
mentioned Bafat here. What does Bafat mean?
According to Billy Myers, that was the name of the Giza intelligence. It was called the Bafat. And the only reference I could find to that, there was an earlier group. It was called the French, the BAABI or something like that. A group of people that came a long time ago from Proxima Centauri. They had splintered off of their planet. Planetary culture no longer believing in the aims and goals of that culture. And they came to Mars and had sexual intercourse with some little mongoloid-looking creatures there. And they became the later Tibetans. They settled in Tibet and in Lebanon. And these were possibly, one faction of the Nephilim. But they said they've been around here for a long time, trying to influence the leaders of men. And it sounds similar to the Bafat, but I don't know if it's the same groups or not. But they seem to have similar intents. And you mentioned Antarctica. There's another thing that popped up in the book by Elizabeth Clara.
What is it?
Beyond the Light Barrier.
Beyond the Light Barrier.
Yeah, they claim that they had originally lived on Earth, on the Antarctic continent, before it froze over.
When you said they, who are these they?
These were the people from Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, the Alpha Centauri.
And they've been visiting here in recent times, and they're sort of like, they look very much like us. And some of them are tall and blonde and Nordic and Aryan looking in appearance. And they claim that they had an ancient base down there where the Germans discovered the Schirmacher Seengruppe, the colored lakes.
The Schirmacher Lakes in Neuschwabenland in Antarctica, south of South Africa, present-day South Africa.
And then during the Antarctic expedition of 37 and 38, that's exactly where the flying boats landed and found that tunnel in the ground and the caves under the earth. There was a fissure, and they lowered a guy down in a boatswain's chair with a camera, the photographer from the expedition. And I guess he didn't have a flash, but he was trying to take pictures. But I assumed that later on they went back and went into those caves. I mean, it was just too good an opportunity to pass up, to explore, to see what was down there. Hitler and his followers had a kind of an interest in a place where they could get away from it all and do their own thing without neighboring countries prying into their business. And they had selected Antarctica because it was totally isolated, difficult to get into. And I think from that film, that Navy film on one of your tapes, it's about Antarctica.
Yeah, one of the tapes, basically, is it a Nazi colony on the South Pole of 2 million people called New Berlin, or is it the Hollow Earth people flying their saucers from the South Pole? We have this official Navy documentary, 1-hour documentary in color about Admiral Byrd's expedition to the South Pole, where they discovered the never-freezing lakes that nobody of us is told in school, mountains of coal that would immediately solve, according to the text in the film, the energy problem for the next several centuries. And many other interesting things that are visible in the film.
I was amazed when I watched that film. I mean, here we are in this DC-3, looking out the window, flying over the Antarctic, and there's ice and snow everywhere. And then you come to this one area, it kind of creeps up on the edge of the film. It's chocolate brown in color, mountains with lakes. And they said it was 300 miles square. I mean, how could anybody have missed that before? I mean, he had flown down there before, over the South Pole.
Oh, I mean, Admiral Byrd was 2 times before the Second World War, in the late 20s, then the late 30s in 37, and then when he went down chasing the Germans, he went for the 3rd time in 47. I want to make a little remark here about the German fascinations with the 2 polarities of our planet, the 2 polar regions. A story that I heard, and I repeat again, a lot of these things are either quotations from books that, well, we cannot verify because we've never been there at these places, or just anthropological collections of rumors and stories. But the story that I heard about the Thule, where did the name Thule came from? I mean, the Thule is also that city in Greenland called Thule. The story is that there was a civilization in Greenland a long time ago, before Greenland fell under the ice. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed Nordic type people that later on moved up north, further up north, and eventually went into the inner earth. People that were racially, well, brothers to the Germans, but because of their much faster advancement in the inner earth, the Germans felt kind of a longing to reunite with their more advanced brothers and basically to shortcut the evolutionary process. So in the late 30s, they equipped a special submarine, according to information from a psychic that I have, that I've been talking to. And the submarine reached the opening of the inner earth, on the sea opening to the inner earth. And they started, well, digging in, but they encountered a very strong cross current. Didn't want to submerge, not knowing what the depth was. And eventually they realized that they cannot proceed anymore. Possibly these are strong energy fields that guard the openings of the inner earth. Later on, in 42 or 43, they equipped an anti-gravity cigar-shaped device piloted by two pilots, and were able successfully to penetrate the south polar opening to the inner earth, the land opening to the inner earth. And of course, probably they were allowed by the inner earthlings to get in, and they landed there and established some contact. Another rumor recently that I heard is actually the city New Berlin is not as much in the underground of the South Pole, but inside the inner earth itself. It's not an underground city, but it's a normal city with, according to stories from the inner earth, there are trees and rivers and basically everything that we have here. It is down there. As we know from many other sources, the Earth is a multidimensional reality. There are other realities and other civilizations living on this planet, just few split seconds forward or backward in time. Billy Meyer has been talking about a race of 1 feet tall small creatures, and he even produced the footprints of these creatures at the local conference here, that live in another dimension. Stories about the Gulliverian travels in the Lilliputian land may be very true. Maybe someone was taken to the Lilliputian land and shown, just for the purpose of education of our race. We cannot cross from our reality into theirs, into their dimension, but these little creatures have the ability to come into our reality. So immediately all these folk stories about the little people, about the forest people and so on, may be all true. And not only this reality of small people, but I've heard also stories of other reality that has a peaceful society with earthlings like we are, anatomically, but on a socio-cultural level of basically 16th century peaceful medieval community without any wars. So parallel to these stories, I mean, many Indian legends talk of several Earths moving together in a package in different realities. The Waspi Bible talks about the multiple Jehovian realities of existence above the surface of the Earth. Maybe in analogy to that, there are other realities below the surface of the Earth in different vibrations. So it is not that easy to basically discard all of these stories.
Well, now, I've been pretty open-minded about this UFO thing, but little fairies, no, I kind of draw the line. I refuse to believe in fairies. I read parts of Jacques Vallée's